We're back on Trojans Live on a Monday night as the season winds down. Regular season for USC finishes at 6-6. They do have a bowl game to come, but they'll be watching this championship weekend. Along with us, Jordan Moore, Sean Cody Kessler, and Keely Yore. And in so many ways, guys, Saturday was a microcosm for what we saw this year. I guess USC didn't have a lead in the fourth quarter, and it didn't end up being a one-possession game. But really, for me, the game stopped when USC, throws it to the pylon. It becomes a pick six going the other way. But at that point, if they connect on that, it's a tie game in the last couple minutes, and it's pretty crazy. So it just sort of was the story of the season right there, close but no cigar.
It was, and it was in the sense that you could tell that USC was competitive with the number 5 team in the nation, and we've seen that across the board this season. This team has it. It's in there, but how can you do that? How can you execute? How can you play complementary football? We didn't necessarily see that in critical moments on Saturday, and you can't not do that in the gotta have it moments against the number 5 team in the nation. It was kind of a tale of, I don't even want to say two halves. It was mostly coming out of the third quarter. I felt like USC's defense kind of came out a little flat, and it was interesting listening to Matt Entz as well, but it just seemed like they didn't have an answer for the run game. It just felt like they got going and they didn't have an answer, and so you can't overcome that playing the number 5 team in the nation.
Yeah, I mean, I thought offensively we played well the entire game. That's a very good Notre Dame defense. We talked about Al Golden, how good his scheme is, what he can do to confuse you as an offensive, unit. But I thought we did a great job for the most part of that game.
Nobody had done that to them.
No one has.
Go back
besides,
and look at it.
And Keely, we talked about this on the podcast last night. Besides Louisville, no one else had scored 20 points on them. No one was putting up those type of numbers. We had over 550 yards of offense, 360 yards passing against the number 1 pass defense in all of college football. You have a sophomore making only his 3rd start of the year. So I was very impressed with how we played. I wish we were a little bit more balanced with the run game in the second half, and I guess you could say, hey, we got down by 2 scores, so you get that sense of urgency, but it never felt like the game was out of reach, really, until the very end. So for me, I thought we did a good job for the most part on offense, and then like Keely said, defensively in the third quarter, 150 of their 260 rushing yards came in that third quarter. They had 4 possessions in the third quarter. They scored on 3 of them. That's where the game kind of fell apart for me a little bit, and then obviously the 2 pick sixes, you never want to see that, but for the most part, I was proud of this team, the way they fought and hung in there with a very good football team.
Yeah, obviously disappointed in this one. You go 6-6 on the year and you lose to your rival at the end. You beat UCLA, so that was a big moment there for the Trojans here. But just disappointing in this one. I think defensively it was a rough one to kind of end on too. You kind of got moved around a little bit. I think in the run game a little. You saw the physical. You hadn't seen the physical mismatches too much this year, but that game definitely you could see there was a different level of that Notre Dame could turn on, and that USC just wasn't able to match that same kind of physicality in the run game. And I mean, 2 tremendous running backs and a quarterback that can move that. So that plays a role in it, but you could see that we knew Notre Dame was going to run the ball, and they said, hey, we know we're going to run the ball. We're going to run the ball. We're going to still run the ball and be successful. So that's the next level I think this defense has to take to.
Yeah, it was the first game all season that kind of felt like the shootouts we had seen from the last couple years, right? Where every time the offense got the ball, you had Arbo going, kind of have to score a touchdown. There was a lot of that from Pete, which you could sort of sense that anxiety. I think oftentimes probably speaking for the fans in that regard. But the fact that it was the first time all year that happened, again, I'm buying this line of, Lincoln Riley said, had a phrase after the game, progress through the pain. I'm buying it. I mean, I gave a little bit of my own speech or rant at the end of our broadcast on Saturday that, I get everyone wants to sort of, lose their mind over 6-6, and 6-6 looks like a step back from 7-5. It does not feel like a step back for me. And I think, Keely, you said, that was number 5 team in the country. Penn State is now up to the number 4 team in the country. Maybe they'll move up to number 3 this week, right, with Ohio State losing. The gap doesn't seem that wide to me. I mean, I get it. I get that we need to learn how to separate from teams like Minnesota and Maryland, and you shouldn't necessarily be in 1-score games with those teams. But when I watch them on the field against Penn State and Notre Dame, there's areas to get better, like you said. But to me, it doesn't look hopeless where you just go, man, those teams are miles away from us.
And to Sean's point, too, I think depth also, the lack of depth on defense showed on Saturday. And that's where you actually need time. You need time to recruit your guys, to get those, especially in the trenches. I talk about it all the time on the podcast. It takes so long to build up the trenches from scratch, which is basically what Riley had to do when he got here at USC.
And that time is paying off on the offensive line.
Yes.
You're seeing it pay off.
And we're not even seeing all of it. There's still younger guys who Riley talked about last last week, he was like, I'm really excited about what we're seeing in practice. So, and they're going to have to probably promote those guys next season. There's a lot of turnover on the offensive line, but, it's pain through progress or whatever.
Progress through pain.
Thank you. I inverted it. But, some of the guys that we saw playing, Cam Fountain, they shouldn't have really been playing this season. That lack of depth showed, but the pain of throwing those guys into the fire will likely pay off when we have to then promote them more next season as well. So it's interesting, but I'm looking forward to early signing period to see, Lynn bringing in more of his quote unquote type of guys.
Yeah, I mean, you do have to find a way to win those games. I'm with you on that, but you can't let some of these losses overshadow the progress. If I'm a coach in this game that we just played in, I'm going back to the film room for the young core guys and saying, look what you just did against one of the best defenses in college football. Look what you're capable of, right? For the core guys that haven't been there before, you've got to see that progress of what they're capable of getting to. Now, I understand the portal's a thing. We're not going to keep that same unit. Some guys are going to leave. We're going to get some new faces, but there are things to build off of this year if you want to build a great foundation going forward for this football team.
Yeah, defensively, I think it got better this year. I think you look at what happened after last year, the defense got better. Now, the concern is you lose Caleb Williams and the offense took a step back. This year, offensively, it was not Lincoln Riley's year. Just never really got anything going with the quarterback situation with Miller Moss and then Jaden going. So that offensively was really affected, I think, the football outcome this year.
Well, we have one more show this fall, winter coming up next week and one more segment to come tonight on Trojans Live. One final segment of Trojans Live on a Monday night here in our Heritage Hall studio. Jordan Moore, Sean Cody Kessler, Keeley, you're with you. Our over-under is presented by Pechanga Resort Casino, proud partner of USC Athletics. Over-under, December 9 for Cody's new baby to arrive. We have a Kessler arriving. It's a very big thing in the Trojans Live family.
Jordan, you are now announcing this to the public right now.
People don't know that you're having a child?
People don't. People do not.
Well, it's going to happen next
people
week.
Do know. People do know. But no,
I apologize for that.
No, you're totally
talk
fine.
about
so
it
careful.
so often.
Your
on
mom
the
and dad are
podcast.
shocked right now.
I know.
This is
Mom and Dad, if you're
incredible.
watching at home, by the way. No, I'm just kidding.
Your parents know.
Everyone I know knows, and it's not a secret. No, yes, we are. We're having a baby boy coming up soon. Very excited. My wife's at home.
I wasn't
watching.
even going to
Paige, I
drop
love
the
you.
sex. I didn't even know the sex.
No, you're good. Yeah, we got a boy coming soon.
Gender reveal.
But you guys know me.
Live.
Like my social media. That's what Keely's talking about. Is all work or just basically everything outside. I'm not a big letting my personal life on social media. But yes,
You're
we
like
are having
Sua?
a baby boy.
What?
Yeah, no, I'm learning from Sue a little
Sua's
bit.
an open book.
Okay,
This
so
whole-
over under.
I've-
Still a question. Over under December 9th. Well, I know. I think I told everybody else the due date too.
You
so
didn't
I
tell
know.
me. Well, I
but
thought-
you never know. I'm gonna go under. I'm gonna go under. I got a weird feeling. Yeah, I'm going under.
For the scheduled appointment?
Yes,
Oh,
I'm going under.
I'm going over.
Did any of your children come early?
Yes, both.
Yeah, my child came. My first child came a week early.
Give me best parent advice right now for any in the chat at home too. People typing in because I always read this
Keely,
stuff.
go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, I do parent
Best.
him every
Me and Sean
episode.
talked about it a little
so-
bit. Best parent advice that you wish you would have told yourself as a first-time parent if you could go back in time.
Forgive yourself.
Okay.
Wow, we got deep.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
Wow.
Sean and I could do a whole.
I could see Sean in like a dark room with a
dad's,
bottle. and
dad's podcast. Yeah, man. Just the days are long and the years are short.
So it's
Love
like
that.
working
I
at
love that.
USC.
Fair enough. Oh, is it time to go? It is time to go.
It
Thanks
should be.
everyone. If we don't see Cody next week, we love you, appreciate you. Fight on, everybody.